Just finished grading your introductions this week for your paper that you're writing, and I wanted to give you some tips on how to make them much more compelling and direct to your audience. And so let's get started here. This is just briefly, you'll see some of these comments on your paper, but I thought a video with a follow my mouse may help get you to understand a little bit more what I'm talking about. I want to talk briefly about a descriptive title. I've talked and made some comments on some of your papers as it relates to this. Remember, your title is not something that you're putting together for your benefit. You're putting it together so that a potential reader will be compelled to go further. And so um, you need to make sure that it briefly describes the purpose and the intended audience so that again they'll say, "Hey, this has potential. I want to read this." And so some of you had a pretty generic title, something similar to non-traditional student overview or something like that. This is an option of what not to do. This is pretty vanilla. Really doesn't meet the needs of your audience. Remember, your audience for this, and I'm going to keep going back to this. Your audience for this paper or this proposal is a university enrollment team. It's not an adult student. You're not trying to convince an adult student to go back to college. What you're trying to do is convince a university enrollment team that you have the answers for them as it relates to adult students. So two very different audiences. So this does not work. Now, this is just an idea. It's one of many different ideas. But this title, Non-Traditional Students, Fuel for University Enrollment Growth, isn't that what you're being challenged or charged with by this enrollment team? What they're really looking for you to do as a consultant for your organization coming forward is to help them reach these non-traditional students so that they will enroll in their program. So this option is much better. It's much more compelling. And so that's what I want to challenge you with going forward, particularly on your title, is to make sure that you're very compelling. Now, one of the things you're going to see as you begin to do your own research with journal articles and professional articles, you're going to see the use of a colon a lot. And so they'll make a statement, provide a colon, and then have another statement on there. And I like that because what it does is it helps say, okay, this is the target, this is the action. I mean, and so if you think about it from that perspective, I think it's going to be much more compelling going forward. Okay. Introduction here. You're going to see on your papers that I graded, I have some extensive teaching, if you will, on what an introduction should include. And I think they should include two things. I think it should include a hook, and a hook is what gets a person interested in reading further. Remember, this is all, the title needs to be compelling, the introduction needs to be compelling. And, if you think about that, people don't want their time wasted today. And so they want to very quickly be able to see whether or not a paper proposal is applicable to them. And so I made both of these comments on your papers, but I wanted to show you what they could potentially look like if you just put them in an introduction. So I'd always start my introductions with some sort of hook. And the hook is directed to the reader to get their attention very quickly. And so this hook, if you look at it, talks about some of uh, the opportunities that this university could be looking for. Now, again, remember your hook has to be focused on the audience. It has to be a hook for your audience. And never, ever forget who your audience is. Your audience for this particular paper is not an adult student. It is the university enrollment team that has hired you to figure out about these adult students. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that you put some hook in here. And a key thing on the hook is information and data. Okay, data goes a long way of compelling people to go further. So this is where you need to go to the CSU online library. You'll see that tutorial in a prior week's read and study to see how to do that. But data is very compelling that causes people to go, oh, if the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics said this, then they're probably correct. All right. And so this will get your reader's attention very quickly. Now, uh, your introduction should be longer than this. So what I put over here is you'll need to get some fill-in information, and there's nothing that says you can't provide two pieces for your hook. And so there could be two pieces of data that you use to help provide a compelling reason for the reader to go further. Okay, so start off with your hook here and then complete it with your purpose statement. Now, again, same thing applies here. You may need some fill in a few sentences here that leads into the key statement, which is your purpose statement. And so you'll see here in the purpose statement that I put together, there are 3 sentences. You don't have to put these all into one sentence. But the purpose of this project will be to define the non-traditional student and what motivates them to return to college. Remember, that's something that the university said they didn't know about. So you're going to provide that for them. You're going to talk about some of the problems and opportunities that they face, and then you're going to provide some solutions and strategies for these problems and recommend them to assist the university in reaching this demographic. Now, again, you have to put this in here about to assist the university in reaching their demographic because this just isn't an information tool. This is an information tool with a purpose. And the purpose is to help this university increase their enrollment by doing these things, okay? So I just thought this would be helpful if you see how a hook and a purpose statement can work together. Again, you'll need some additional fill-in data here. But don't forget, again, the introduction is just another reason that you put together to help a potential reader or a client in this case to follow your information. All right? I hope this helps. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know. Take care.